You need people who think outside the box. You need people who are willing to commit to it. You need people who love what they do and look forward to doing it every day. You look forward to that.
For the millions across the globe watching on OSP TV, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Here we are back, OSP TV. Good to have everybody back. Thank you for tuning in. Episode 9. We're almost in the double digits, OG.
Almost.
Good to have everybody here back with us. We have our first ever virtual guest on the podcast. Now we have the blessing of being able to have some high profile celebrities, coaches, trainers, athletes, and the easiest way to do this and to bring the content forward is to bring them in here virtually. So that's how we're going to start, and no better person to start than our guest today. But before we do that, I got to introduce our co-host, the passenger, the driver. Hey, you are the driver. The navigator's always the driver.
Hey,
I just kind of go through the motions.
We're appeasing everybody. This is social distancing. This is COVID-safe podcast.
That's exactly why we're doing this, because this is COVID safe. The OG, Dustin Woods, good to have you back, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Episode 9, almost in the double digits. And our first ever virtual guest, the legendary, probably, if not probably, definitely the best strength and conditioning coach in the game, professional athlete turned coach, and really motivator, innovator, visionary, the one, the only, Coach Larry Wade. Coach, good to have you on the show today, sir.
What's up, fellas? Hey, listen, I'm honored to be one of the guests. I'm honored to be, I think, the first Zoom guest, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And, I'm going to set the standard. I'm going to have fun out here, and, we're going to do what we do.
You have a tough follow-up from the national conference impact. Our guys are still talking about
no
your
such
speech
thing.
in the conference.
Oh, my God. That's all they talk about is Larry Wade.
Do more is everywhere.
That's a
at
blessing.
OSP.
Let's
see that shirt there, Wade.
That's a blessing.
There it is.
And
Do
matter of fact, they
more.
will be released this week. They're going to be released this week. But
Where can people get the shirts, Larry?
You can go to CoachLarryWade.com in the shopping, and it'll be there. We're going to release it on Friday. We're waiting some time to get all the details together, but now Friday will be up for sale for anyone who would like to purchase one. CoachLarryWade.com.
Love it. Love it.
It's awesome.
What an appearance. So for those of you that don't know, if you haven't been checking out our OSP TV YouTube clips, Coach Wade was one of our guest speakers at our 10-year anniversary in Chicago, Illinois. We brought out the likes of David Meltzer, who was, the movie Jerry Maguire was based around his firm. Phenomenal sports agent, turned motivator, innovator, author, and of course headlined by the great Mike Tyson. Other attendees were Badu Jack. Of course, we had John Maxwell, Coach Al Herrera. So it was a great event all around. And I say all that to say that Coach Wade stole the show. I think the majority of the agents voted that was our best presenter.
It was useful, too. I mean, I still see it, in the sales chats and stuff like that. It's become a saying around here. Do more.
I'll tell you, Larry, every night we have, the directors report their numbers. And the guys that when they report high numbers, they always hashtag do more. And so it's stuck.
Beautiful.
It's stuck.
That's beautiful.
It's stuck. It did very well, and that was really the premise. So why don't you explain to the viewers that weren't at the conference what the whole premise of Do More was or is?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to thank OSP for giving me the opportunity to come out there and share, because I feel like my purpose in life is to be able to help and service and provide others information and support and whatever their goals are. When we're young, especially being a former pro athlete, you may understand this too a little bit, Amir. We think life is about us. We think life is about our goals, and there's a certain level of selfishness that goes along with that in order for us to believe we need that to be successful. Well, I found out as I've gotten older that all those experiences that I was going through, ups and downs, trials and tribulations, were never meant for me, or meant to give me information to be able to share for others to be great. So you guys provided that platform for me. I'm grateful. And so it just gave me another opportunity to share what God's gifts are to me. So thank you guys for that.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your day and out of your busy training schedule to come down. By the way, I don't know if you knew this, Coach Wade, but Dustin was a former collegiate football player, wide receiver.
I did not.
Yes.
I did not. And so that being said, that's what I'm sure you know sacrifices that go along with it. Because at every level, you have to put in work. At every level, there has to be commitment. And at every level, there has to be sacrifice. And that's where that level of quote unquote selfishness comes in, because you have to be so zeroed in on what you're doing. And sometimes it's easy to overlook other things and other situations. And so when you think of the word do more, you're not thinking about, just the small things that are necessary to be successful. You're thinking about the whole gamut of things that are needed, from rest, focus, education, commitment. All these things are important. So whenever you're a person, I'm not just going to say an athlete, but an individual had a long day, especially if they're in the sales business, it's always easy to go home and say, hey, I meet my quota for the day. I'm good. I'm going to go home and rest. But being able to take that next call or go knock on that next door might open an opportunity for that $1 million, if not $1 billion opportunity. All it takes is one more opportunity. Amir knows this firsthand, that there have been situations where I wanted to do things and I just kept pushing and knocking on the door. And eventually someone gave me an opportunity.
Yep.
And that's all I was really looking for. And that's all we should all be looking for. It's just that next opportunity to do what we're supposed to do in life.
Well, you talk about it, Larry, right? You talk about it. And there's a lot of people that talk about it. But what's motivating about you and an inspiration to me, and for those of you that don't know, I represent Larry Wade as his agent. And what a lot of people don't know is you are the example of going out and doing more. So if you don't mind me sharing this with them, Larry, Coach Wade wanted to get into the commentator because he's very well spoken, very energetic, very well versed in combat sports, having trained the likes of Caleb Plant, Badu Jack, Sean Porter, Luis Ortiz, and countless other world champions. And he was very versed in boxing. So he said, I want to be a commentator. And I thought, my first initial thought, Larry, was they're not looking for a strength and conditioning coach to commentate. That's not what they want.
He sold you short. You forgot to say very well dressed. Very good fashion sense. I saw you on there showing out.
Yeah, well, that's because his wife
those
Yvonne.
Those skinny jeans that they make fun of.
That's right. You got to get ahead of it before he brings it up. I like your style.
Damn, you took my. Okay, no problem. So in saying that, it was saying I want a commentator role. I want to commentate. And I'm thinking, okay, what's my angle here? I'm thinking about something big to happen. At the OSP National Conference was a great platform for me to say, here's a guy. Look how well he speaks. I think we can bring him on. But again. And it could be a perception issue for me, was I didn't think that it would happen. So Larry kept knocking. He kept knocking on doors until Fox Sports said to him, listen, we're going to give you an opportunity. And he made his commentator debut last week or the week before.
Like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. And a phenomenal job that he did. And of course, like with everything else, I mean, I took the credit for it, which was excellent. I had nothing to do with that. That was all him doing more, and it really was. And I was so proud of him. I said, man, here's a guy that just wasn't waiting on anybody. Last night we were talking up late last night, and he said, could you imagine if I was waiting on somebody to help me feed my kids? I'm going to go out and do it myself. And he does a great job in doing that. Yep. And I admire that myself, and it just elevates everybody around you. So well done with that, Larry.
Thank you. Here's the reality. We all need that support, and that's a large part of what OSP provides. It gives people an opportunity, a network to lean on for guidance in areas where maybe they may not be as versed at. They may not have as much experience at first, but because they have that network and support behind them, on those days when it's hard, they can go to their mentor and be like, hey, this is not going my way. And he or she can guide them and say, hey, this is what happened to me. This is what's happened to other people just like you. Just stay strong and keep focusing. With that being said, even though I got the opportunity, the first person I called was Amir. And I was like, hey, I got the opportunity. But like everything else, you get it. And you're like, well, am I really ready? I think I'm ready. And so Amir was the first person to say, no, you're ready for this. You're natural at it. Just do your thing. And then once it was over, the third person I called was Amir again. Because I know if anybody's going to be brutally honest with me and criticize me, it's going to be him. But it's going to be constructive criticism. And I wanted to know the facts. I wanted to know how it looked. How did it sound? How did it come across to the audience? And even though the producer was very, very happy with the work and invited me back, I knew that there's always room for growth, always room for development. And I could get that constructive criticism from Amir, which will help me become better to do more of everything that I do. And just one more feather in the hat.
You know what I did, Larry, was I made sure that I recorded the fights that you were announcing, and I watched them 3 times without watching the fight, just kind of listening to you. And every single time it impressed me more and more and more. 3 times I listened to him. Okay. And you were right on point. You were right on point with every single thing you said. My first hesitation was, what's it going to sound like when a strength and conditioning coach commentates on boxing? But what you did is you were able to bring the knowledge that you had from an athletic perspective, from the dynamics of movement, and correlate that over to boxing, and then add examples of, and your co-host was Sean Porter, who you train, was when Sean does this, when Caleb does this, when Badu does this, it made sense to everybody watching. I'm telling you, I think this is going to be another avenue for you, and I think this is where you're going to excel. That, mark my words, I think that's really where it is.
And for everybody who's listening, your perspective and your view of yourself helps determine where your true growth can go. A lot of times, and I said this actually during my time in Chicago at the convention, your parents might not always understand. Your friends might not always see your vision. So you have to be able to have very selective hearing of what's coming in, so that you're able to develop. So you're able to develop everything that you need. So you have to stay very focused on what you're doing and believe in your angle. So when I started going the commentating route, just like you and me, I was like, okay, what is my angle? I'm not a former boxer.
Right.
How do I, position myself in this world and still keep my credibility and not be looked at, in a negative way? So I kind of looked at it as a special analyst, someone who has a very significant part in the sport that only my perspective can be said, because none of these other people do what I do in the sport. Mm-hmm. And that's the way they looked at it as well. We're going to bring him in as a special analyst. He trained professional boxers, all world champions, elite, top 10 in the world guys. Who knows movement, power, and speed better than this guy? And he does it all the time.
Right.
And so that was my opportunity to be able to indulge and be part of the boxing community in that space and still be respected.
It was genius. The way you tied it in, Coach Wade, was amazing. It was just amazing. So
thank you.
You wear many hats. By the way, you know what? A lot of people don't know how I came to represent you. So if I can shed some light on that, is I was actually thinking.
Well, before you get started, listen, everyone. He's going to tell you this story.
It's a true story.
I asked him to represent me before he actually started representing me. It took a couple of years.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So when I was getting ready to.
I just want to make sure we get the record straight.
I was getting ready to, late in my career, make a comeback, and I said, "Man, if I'm going to do that, I got to hire the best guy in the business." And mind you, the first time that I met you, I was on the track training with Dewey Cooper. I was getting ready. I was in preparation for, I don't know if it was the world title fight or it was a world title to fight defense. And you were out in the track.
It was the world title fight defense. You were already the world champion.
Okay. So I was on the track running. So, I'm very full of myself at that time anyway. And I see this, very.
Opposed to now? Okay.
Yeah. As opposed to now. And I saw a very, fit, big, muscular guy with a hat on, dark shades, and just the presence. First of all, was you had a presence, and you were out in the track with Sean Porter, and man, this was a Vegas summer. It was in the hundreds, and I saw Sean was out there running with a sweatsuit on. I go, man, this dude is nuts. Like I'm trying to strip as much as I possibly can. But he was out there running, and I was running in lane 1, which is, anybody knows, that's Wade's lane. So I was running in lane 1, and then I'm running. I was there first. And I'm running, and Sean's running up behind me, and Wade yells, "Lane! Lane!" And I'm like, Map, this guy. I don't care about no Lane. And then Sean gets closer to me, and then Larry's voice gets deeper. Lane! Lane! I'm like, yeah, come get me out of this lane. And then he comes real close to me. He comes real close to me. I look behind me, and I'm like, oh, it's Sean Porter. Nah, I got to give him the respect. And I moved over to the side. And then, by the way, when I approached you afterwards, you were not very friendly. You were not very friendly at all.
I don't remember that, though.
I know you don't remember that.
You got to understand when
you
I'm
were in training mindset.
Like
No, you were in training mindset. You weren't trying to introduce and meet anybody else. So that was my first memory of you. That was my first impression of you. And then I told Dewey, I go, Dewey, who is that dude? He's like, oh, that's Coach Larry Wade. And I had heard of you before, and I said, okay.
Big up to Dewey Cooper, by the way. What's up, Dewey? Great guy.
Dewey's a legend. So that's how I first met you. And then after, Badu was training with you, I got a chance to meet you. And, of course, Caleb, and we got to know each other a little bit better. And Larry kept asking me, he said, I would like you to give me a hand, get this business thing put together. And I kept putting it on. I was like, man, what am I going to do with a strength and conditioning coach? Like, I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with the guy. That's
right.
So he kept pushing, and I kept putting it off. And then one day he goes, listen, let's go to lunch. And I said, sure. Went to lunch, and he goes, listen, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to represent me. I said, okay. He goes, and you're going to draw up a contract, and you're going to bring it to me, and I'm going to sign it. I said, okay. And I said, oh, then let's do it.
That's pretty much how it went.
That is how it went. So then I brought him the contract, and he's got the nerve to read it and start telling me he doesn't want certain things in it. I said, you told me to write the damn contract for you. He goes, yeah, but I don't like this. I don't like this. Okay, I go mad.
I remember that.
I said, okay, no problem. I'll change whatever you want.
Here's the thing. And I want to be clear about this. In the decisions I make, sometimes they may seem emotional, but I've actually calculated out what I want to have happen. I had already been watching you and paying attention to how you were moving. And when I say moving, how you were treating the people around you, not just your clients, but everyone around you. And you've given everybody a general amount of respect, but you were very professional with what you want to get done. And I saw you move in a different capacity than the normal movement in the sport. And the reason I say it that way, because people get caught up into their normal routine of doing things. You get support one kind of way. You expect money one kind of way. You treat the people in your camp one kind of way. And the way you were doing it was done just a little bit different. And you approached it differently. And I said, I like the way he's doing that. And on top of that, I love the way he believes in his clientele and he believes in these athletes.
Thank you.
And when he's fighting for them, he's fighting hard for them. And not just for them, he's fighting for their family. You can see it. You can feel it.
Sure.
And so when I would see that, I was like, I want to be part of that. I don't know how well he is at what he does, but I do know he fights for everything and everyone that he's with. And I wanted and needed that type of support, especially in a sport that was still very hesitant to be accepting as they are now in regards to having a strength conditioning coach. For those who know the sport, having a strength conditioning coach was kind of like a taboo situation. Like, that's not really supposed to happen. They don't really have any purpose per se. But now, the sport is catching up. And so I needed someone who was used to being innovative, somebody who was on the front lines, used to doing that and not worried about the final outcome, but definitely wanting to be ahead of the curve. And those are things that I always saw in you with Badu and your other clients. You would go out and do certain sponsorships. I was like, what does that have to do with boxing? But it makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't somebody else think of that that's been here 40 years? So those type of things made me excited. And I was like, you know what? He may have no idea what he could do for a strength conditioning coach. And I have no ideas possibly what he could do for me. But I do know together we can build something great.
Well said.
Whether it be in strength conditioning or something else. I do know that you put two large pieces of iron around each other, they're going to sharpen each other and make each other better. And that's what I was really pushing for. And that's what we've been able to do thus far.
No, I agree with you.
That's the main reason why I was like, you're gonna work with me. I don't care what you're talking about. We're gonna make that happen.
That's exactly
we're gonna get it done.
Speaking of which, when you were during your career, did you guys have a dedicated strength and conditioning? Oh, you did have.
Yeah,
that.
we had. I think there was a head coach, and then there was some grad assistants. But yeah, there was always someone there
that just focused on strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with their manage 100 of us. There's
Right.
100 on the team.
Yeah. So it's hard to individualize any of that.
Oh yeah.
But I think, Larry, going back to that mindset, was that's how you've been all. I mean, even though this Do More campaign recently launched, that's always been embedded in your pedigree. It's always been a part of your makeup, and I think that's what's most impressive about you. And everybody around you, by the way, levels up. I mean, I see how you push these guys, and the thing is, if you didn't do it, I'm not sure that they would be able to be pushed as much. Have you ever seen Wade train a guy?
I've seen it on Instagram. I saw it in his highlight video, and it was intense.
We had to edit that.
We totally had to edit it.
We had to edit that.
And then you had to still preface it before you went in that it's not always like that, and there was a good reason behind it.
Right. Sometimes it's intense. Sometimes it is.
Well, I was always taught growing up as an athlete, if your coach isn't hard on you, then you're probably not that important. So.
Yeah. One of the things that you had mentioned to one of the athletes that you work with, Shane Mosley Jr., was, I won't let you let your family down. And you bring in that aspect of fighting for more than just a purse, more than just a prize, more than just a record. Right. You can tie that back in. And by the way, you have this line that I use all the time is, you don't need to like me now. You're going to love me later.
Facts. That's true.
And when you push these guys, and I sometimes I sit back and I listen. Even the other day I went to the gym just to watch Dewey Cooper train guys, and remind myself why I'll never go back to the sport. But I'm telling you, when I filmed it, I go, just in case you get that itch again, just watch this again.
Right.
Dewey's awful when it comes to that, but he's on point. He tells the truth. Right. And you don't have to like them now. You'll love them later because they're going to get you to where it's going to be. And I think that's why guys, and that's why your schedule is the way it is, and you're as in demand as you are, is you're going to get guys there whether they like it or not. I mean, look at do you remember Luis Ortiz, King Ortiz, King Kong? Is it King Kong or just King?
It's King Kong, Luis Ortiz, King Kong.
King Kong, Luis Ortiz. He fought Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. I watched it last night randomly.
Oh, really?
Swear to God, they had it on
the first
FS1.
one or the second one? They fought twice, right, Larry?
Irony.
They fought twice. Yeah. So the second, did you watch the first one or the second one?
First one.
Okay, no. The second one, the rematch. I had nothing to do with that one. Yeah, the rematch, they brought in Wade. Mm-hmm. And when they brought in Coach Wade, the biggest thing that he said is, the boxing side of it, he's going to be okay in. But the conditioning is, I got to make sure that he can have that output for 12 rounds. And until the shot that landed, Ortiz was winning the fight. Yeah. Clearly.
Hands down.
Clearly.
Hands down.
And the difference was his conditioning. The difference, and I'll say that openly. I think the big difference was conditioning.
I said when I first got with Ortiz, there was some challenges, and you're dealing with a guy who's a heavyweight. At that time, I think he was about 260 at that moment, and you're dealing with a guy who's a little older. A lot of pounding on joints, a lot of experience there. But that wasn't my main concern. My number one thing was getting in his head and helping him understand that he wasn't going to be given any excuses or any opportunities to escape. What I mean by that is when an athlete starts to push, they push to a certain point, and then they look for an opportunity to not necessarily go further. And so what I needed him to understand is, and this is and I don't know if I ever told you this, Amir, my number one, and this is the only one I have, my only fear in life has always been failure. That's my only fear. I'm not afraid of anything else. So in order for me to prevent that, I work extremely hard to make sure I put the percentages in my favor. Nothing is ever guaranteed. But if you work as hard as you can possibly work and put 100% of commitment and integrity into what you do, you have a better chance of being successful. So I wanted Luis Ortiz to know that I was committed to him winning this fight, and that I believe he could win, and that we're going to do everything we can to make sure he's successful. And if he was willing to accept that, then we will go forward together.
Sure.
He was willing to do it. We got it done. And I knew I had crossed over with him. One, when he cursed me and said I was crazy, but he said, but I'm the best there is. Yep. So I take that concept. He's like, you crazy, this. And he said, but you're the best. At that point, I knew we had reached a point where he understood he's going to be successful in this process of development.
Yeah. Have you ever trained any other heavyweight that was 64 years old for a world title fight? There's zero chance Luis Ortiz is under 50 years old. Stop.
Man, my man not 64, man.
How old is he? He was talking about watching the Ali Frazier fight when he was a kid. The math doesn't make sense.
Maybe you watched the ESPN Classic.
I don't know about what he said. He's like 41, 42. That's all I got.
41, 42. In dog years.
That's all I got.
Okay. All right.
That's all I got.
We're big fans of Luis Ortiz. All right. So let's move on to some other subjects there, OG. There's one that you wanted to bring up.
Oh, do I?
Larry, can you walk us through, because the OG brought it up, the Caleb Plant fight. Now, everybody in this room, at least I'd hope, with Johnny being one of them, is all Team Plant. Shota, are you Team Plant? Okay, perfect. Now, so 1, 2, 3, 4 people. And you makes 5. We're probably the only 5 people on the East Coast that are cheering for Caleb Plant.
You know what?
Tell me.
That's the way I like it.
Yeah, well, of course,
like
and he's embracing that. Mind you, I've got a lot of inbox from a lot of Canelo fans. Messages. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
they're crazy.
He's gonna have to hire a bodyguard when we go to Cancun next week.
Yeah, I'm not trying to leave the resort.
Listen, it's crazy. My inbox is crazy. I've been called everything to be called. It's such a negative capacity.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand it. But it comes along with the business. As far as us being on the doubtful side, them being doubtful of us. Listen, almost every fighter that I've worked with, for the most part, was the athlete who they thought was going to lose until he didn't. When Caleb fought Uzataki, I remember reading that a sports blog guy or whatever said that he would be knocked out within 6 rounds. He put the guy down twice and became the world champion. I remember when Cleverly fight came up and there were people saying that Badu Jack would not be able to step up in weight and have the same level of dominance. And then they had to cancel the TKO came in because he made the ref stop the fight because he beat him up so bad.
Yep.
When Sean fought Devin Alexander for his first IBF world title, they were saying Sean just was not good enough to beat a technician like Devin, and he destroyed Devin. So when it comes down to people questioning, that's the way my life has been. And I actually like to be there because I like to prove people wrong. And it's not just based on emotion. It's not just based on my opinion. It's based on the hard work, dedication, and commitment that we put into this thing. Most people don't want to work that hard. A guy like Caleb, and I'm going to use Caleb specifically. Caleb makes a point to outwork everybody.
Right.
I mean, everybody, not just the other fighters that he has to fight, but anybody that's doing anything at a high level in this sport, he wants to work harder than. He makes that part of his mantra. So when I say that I put percentages on our side, it's because of the work that we put in. Nobody's going to be doing the work we're doing at the level we're doing it at. They want to go home early. And that's why he's a world champion. That's why he'll continue to be a world champion. So at the end of the day, as everybody else is on the computer, thinking about watching YouTube, we out working.
Yep.
We out there getting it every step of the way.
What's it like to train Caleb?
Each other. Intense.
Yeah.
Intense. Understand this. The statement that I used when I came out to the convention, that you have to be able to make everybody around you step up to the level that you want to be at, is a prime example of who Caleb Plant is. Mm-hmm. He's going to make sure everyone is stepping up to the level of greatness in which he wants to accomplish. So if he wants to be the undisputed, then you have to put yourself and your mind and your body and your spirit in that space that you understand whatever you did before now, you need to quadruple that up, because he wants all 4 belts. So I need 4 times the input, 4 times the integrity, 4 times the commitment in order for us to get to where he wants to be. And I respect that. I applaud that, because that's what it should be about. If you want to do something great, You can't have people around you want to be average. You can't have average people just want to give you average results and you think you're going to be great. You're not. You need people who think outside the box. You need people who are willing to commit to it. You need people who love what they do and look forward to doing it every day. You look forward to that. When I go home every day, even though I have long days, I'm still thinking about what we did today and what I got to do tomorrow to make tomorrow better for Friday and Friday better for Monday and Monday better for Wednesday. That's the kind of commitment you need. Now, it may drive my wife crazy, but but that's what's needed.
Well,
and that's what he does.
It seems like you guys are almost twins because if I remember correctly, he said on stage he would rather be the underdog and loves proving people wrong. And that's pretty much what you just said. You'd rather have it that way. Is that what drives him?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that drive him. You know, he's motivated in multi-dimensionals. He has a lot of fire behind him. And that's where that intensity comes from. You know, a lot of things in his life have been, you know, taken away from him. And he's made it a point to not only live within that spirit, but to also accept that he's not, as long as he has an opportunity, he's going to prevent anything else from being taken from him, as long as he has control over it. And also, he wants to be able to prove to people how great he really is. And if you know where he came from, then you also know that he don't want to go back there.
Right.
There's no life there for him. So he's doing everything he can to really, you know, etch his name in stone and said, hey, you know what? I want to be great. No, I take that back. X out. I want to be the greatest. Check. That's what I want. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's doing. Right. And I'm in great support of it. And if you go back 3, 4, because this year completes my 4th year being with Caleb, going into my 5th. If you go back 3 years ago, in the first year that I was working with Caleb, I said he would be the best in the world. He would be a world champion. And that's where we are. And I'm not just saying that based on him being my athlete at the time. I'm saying that based on his talent level, his commitment to the work, and the heart that he carries when he does everything he does. He puts his heart into everything he does. Every single thing he's passionate about, even down to buying the tennis shoes that he's going to put on and wear that day. He's put a lot of thought and energy into those shoes and why he has them on today.
I have to ask, I know me and Amir had a conversation about this. What did you take from the press conference?
Oh, it's easy. What you saw was exactly what I expected to see. I've always said Caleb and Badu are different in this space, but Caleb is a man's man. What you saw was Canelo be a little ruffled, Caleb underneath his skin,
totally,
and then he pushed Caleb. Caleb was trying to be the respectful professional at first in regards to not attacking and touching someone physically. But once Canelo pushed him, most people would think that he would just ease back up there and people would come up and break it up. He hit him back to let him know that he's a man and that he's not afraid of him. Let me say that again. Hit him back because he said, first, I'm a man. That's first. I'm not afraid of you. What do you want to do?
Totally agree. Yeah. I mean, Canelo came
out. That's
out.
The difference.
Canelo just came out and said this is personal. So he's definitely gotten under his skin.
Oh, he definitely got under his skin because he's the first one to call Canelo out on the PEDs. He's the first one to really get under his skin and to show him I don't respect him.
It wasn't PEDs. It was Mexican beef.
I mean the hamburgers. What? He had a double hamburger.
Yes. So you saw a situation where a guy showed that, hey, this is what the fight's going to be like. This is the fight. I'm not afraid of you. This is not just talk. Everything that I say, I mean.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of other cases, and I've said this on TV, and I'm probably going to get slammed for it, but I've seen a lot of boxers get in the ring with Canelo, which I believe really didn't think they were going to win.
Right.
They really didn't have any
That's the difference. No, that's the difference there.
On winning.
No, that's the difference.
I think they wanted to survive. I feel like they wanted to get a nice check, and that was the level of commitment.
100%.
Right?
100%.
With Caleb, he goes in with the idea and the concept and the belief and the understanding that I'm winning this fight.
Right.
There's no other option for me. You ever seen a man backed in the corner? When a man backed up in the corner, he has no choice but to fight his way out. Caleb's life has positioned him to have to fight his way out of every situation. So he's not going there with the intent of, look, let me survive 12 rounds. You know what? Let me get through and get a decision. No, he's going in like, I'm getting him out of here. I'm destroying him. He's not going to win this fight. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if that comes with a decision or if that comes with him actually putting Canelo down, but I do know it comes with his hand being raised when it's over.
Nice. Well, I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to heart. It's going to come down to dedication. It's going to come down to who's got the more grit. And the one thing that Canelo has never faced is a guy with the tenacity of Caleb Plant. Caleb does not respect Canelo.
There is one guy that I feel like has the tenacity and the skill set, and that's the one that took the O off of his record, Floyd Mayweather.
Of course. Yeah. Well, and I'm talking about the post-Floyd. I mean, before Floyd, Canelo was,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but post-Floyd, when he was really a poster boy and really pound for pound. Now, Floyd schooled him, and I think that there is a blueprint there, but, we won't talk about that. Anyway, moving forward, that's going to be a huge fight, November 6th, Caleb Plant, Canelo Alvarez. Larry, what is your prediction for the fight?
Caleb Plant walks out, his hand up, being the undisputed unified world champion.
Well, we all agree on that.
Down. How? Well, considering I'm in the camp, even if I could tell you, I wouldn't. Just know what's going to happen.
OG, what do you think? What's your prediction on the fight?
I've said it all along. I mean, you just said a minute ago, there's a blueprint there for what Caleb does, whether it be the jab, movement, technician. That stuff gives him problems.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, it has. So as long as he doesn't, I think get caught with something out of nowhere.
Right.
He's too good for that.
He's more of
Caleb
a
has
dog.
The number one defense in the super middleweight division.
Mm-hmm.
The number one defense amongst everybody. He gets hit the least.
Agreed.
Because he's so aware. And the thing that really is an eye for me in this sport is they have tried to clone Canelo into being Jesus walking on land. This guy's a man like everybody else. He has 2 legs, 2 hands. He has to put his pants on the same way we do. He does bleed. We've seen it. He's no different than anybody else. So with that being said, you can lose.
Right.
Canelo fans, he can lose.
I'll say this to you, Coach Wade.
He's already shown that he's lost. At the end of the day, it's going to be a great fight, but Caleb's going to walk out with his hands up.
And to piggyback off of that, OG Wade, when Canelo loses to Caleb Plant, this will be the biggest upset since Tyson Douglas.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'll take 7-1 odds all day if I were a betting man.
If you were, but thankfully you're not, OG. All right. Yeah. Moving on. Wade, you got some new ink, I see.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got
oh my God.
Snap. There we go.
Why'd you do that? Oh, well, has that been Coach Yvonne Wade approved?
Yes, it was, actually. Actually, it was.
Chicks dig
oh my God, that's much bigger than I thought it was.
Hey, would you tell this man chicks dig tattoos and skinny jeans?
The man's married. Why does he want to have
his wife? We talking about his wife.
Listen, y'all not gonna get me in trouble on here, okay? Y'all not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna get myself in an entanglement on here with you guys.
Entanglement.
They're fluffle.
Just know this. For those who didn't know, and this is after Amir and the family, we sat down. We decided that I would walk away from coaching for the university, that I would just fully be 100% about boxing, which makes me a independent contractor, self-employed individual. And so there was something that I've always wanted to do, which I never felt like I was in the space to do when I worked for the university. And that was to get tattoos on my arm. But what I got was the things that motivate me first in life. First thing I put down is family.
Okay.
That's number one, right? That's what the first tattoo says. The second tattoo says CLW. Now, when I say CLW, I'm not referring to myself. I'm referring to my athletes and the people that I have to sit with and be with every day of the year. These other guys who I love, like the Caleb Plants who I love, Badu who I love, Sean Porter who I love, and all the other athletes that I love. But these guys have been with me the longest. They're my family too. I love them just like any brother or sister that I have. And then what I put in the middle of that was a heart, because that's what motivates me and keeps me going every day. People ask me why I haven't, why I don't take more breaks. And for those who don't know, I've been in camps now. This is month number 17 right now. 17 months straight of camp.
Oh, wow.
Of a camp. So with that being said, this is what motivates me. This is what keeps me going every day. This is what keeps me fresh because of my relationship and my love for them. It's like you having your own kid. When you never get tired of your kids, you always love your kid. For these guys, they're my family. I never get tired of them. I always want to see them be great. I always want to see them develop. And that's why I have no problem putting in extra time and energy to get them to that greatness. So
Sure.
I got that done. And every time I step out, because there are moments when I get tired, I look down and I say, okay, keep going.
Right.
And that's what motivates me to keep pushing.
Yeah. As we wrap this up, Coach Wade, like I said, I've been around you. I've had the pleasure of being around you, the pleasure and the honor of representing you, and to see you continuously grow in not just boxing, but in life in general. Beautiful family. You're a poster boy for a husband, a father. It's just you check all of these boxes. It's very unique to see people like you around, and I think that you are an asset to mankind and to humanity. For everything that you do. So I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud to call you a friend, and very proud to be affiliated with you. And I think that everybody, even at the conference, was able to get a piece of that when he came.
Yeah, I think he's following in your footsteps. I don't think it'll be
the other way around.
One-hit wonder.
Other way around. I'm following in his footsteps.
I think he'll be at many more if I had to guess.
You're talking about the conference.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
For sure.
And like I've always said to people at the convention that I spoke to, I think they thought maybe I was just lying. I asked them, I said, hey, so if you guys have any questions or you feel like you just want to reach out to me on my social media and we'll converse. And when I left there, I know I've had at least 10 different either voice conversations or text conversations with individuals from the convention, which I consider to be a blessing because even though I'm busy, I know they are too. And they didn't have to make time to, try to get some leadership or some guidance or just a pure conversation of motivation for themselves. And so I appreciate that in them as well.
Oh, I appreciate you. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. All right, OG, any parting thoughts?
No, let's go Team Plant.
Let's go Team Plant, November 6th.
Yes, sir.
We got Badu Jack. Badu Jack Promotions just did a nice deal out in the Middle East, and they've got Badu fighting by the end of the year. Of course, you're going to be in camp with Sean Porter, who's fighting Terrence Crawford. That'll be a mega fight. And by the way, this is what a lot of people don't see with you is, these mega fights come up, which means you got to go from camp to camp to camp. And after you finish 3 or 4 guys, the next guy's ready to go. So here we are, month 17 of back-to-back-to-back camps. And just you got to make sure you can take care of yourself. Ease off the Coca-Colas. Man, that's what we should do is get a Coca-Cola sponsor, Wade.
Ooh, that would be great.
That's the one. Johnny.
That would be amazing.
Meta tag and show the meta tag, hashtag Coca-Cola. Coach Wade. He's even got the Coca-Cola colors on. Isn't that the Coke colors?
Right. Red.
Oh,
white.
See, we're innovating. Coca-Cola. Team Wade, CLW. Sir. But great job. Very proud of you. Good luck in camp with Caleb, Badu, Sean, and everybody else. And you have Roland coming up too, right?
Yeah, Rolly has a big fight coming up.
Oh, boy, does he have a big fight coming up.
Nothing's been announced yet, but
there's
so we'll definitely rumors.
Yeah.
There's rumors. So we're going to wait and see if that fight gets announced. But if y'all see me fighting here at the end of November or beginning of December in a Rolly fight, it's a good chance. It's another world title fight, and it's going to be a mega fight. So I'll have at least 3 mega fights before December.
Coach Wade, thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you got to run to that training appointment.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on episode 9. Coach Larry Wade, as for OSP TV, we're signing off. My team, my family, my OSP, we're signing off.